The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
this is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to BS Report, a sunny Friday here in Southern California. I have been battling the Ebola virus all week. No columns, no podcasts. I had a bronchitis. It morphed into a sinus infection. I blame the city of Dallas for making me stay out until 4:30 in the morning on Saturday night. But fortunately, we're here to discuss the end of Friday Night Lights with our favorite TV critic, Sepinwall. He's on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. What's happening?
I'm just very sad that Friday Night Lights is over, man. It's a hell of a show.
It was a great last season. I have it ranked number 2 out of the 5 seasons for me. Where'd you have it ranked?
I would say it's probably that or maybe season 3. It's hard to say. I mean, basically every season other than season 2 is in contention for second place. So.
I wasn't in love with season 4. I mean, it moved the storyline along and it set up season 5, but I just thought season 5 from beginning to end was really strong. Actually, you wrote that you weren't too happy with the first 2 episodes, right?
I thought it took a couple episodes to really get into it. It's by the time they go on that whole road trip to Kingdom,
yes.
And it's just sort of a whole hour with the football team. I thought, all right, now we're getting somewhere, and they introduced Deshaun Hardell from 90210 as Vince's dad and all of that. That's when it really kicked into gear.
So, this happens a lot with television shows, and I'm sure this podcast isn't going to get a ton of downloads because the show not only didn't have, the typical amount of fans that a hit TV show has, but they were running the last 2 seasons on DirecTV first, and not a lot of people have DirecTV. And actually there's been this weird split with the fans of the show. Some people wait until it comes on NBC a few months later, and that's when they start watching. Like Chuck Klosterman does that, for instance. I don't totally understand that. If you can watch the show, why wouldn't you watch the show right away?
Well, some people just don't have DirecTV. But then the weird thing is this year, it's actually coming out on DVD 10 days before it comes out on NBC.
Really?
So every single NBC episode is going to be available on DVD before it airs on NBC.
Wow.
So you have people watching in 3 different schedules this time.
Yeah, season 4 I decided to wait for the NBC runnings because I didn't want to start dropping stuff in the column, and it's almost like it's a weird version of the spoiler alert because some people just can't see the shows. But this year, I couldn't resist. I got sucked in, and I thought once they added Deshaun Hardell as Vince's dad, and he was a great character too. It was basically would you call it a Cam Newton ripoff? Like it's in the family.
I don't know enough about Cam Newton's father to know if he did all the things that Ornette did, but certainly there was a lot of Cam Newton in there in his dealings with the other schools.
It definitely had that feel once he started talking to schools ahead of time, all that stuff, and it was like, oh, I like this. I like when shows grab real life stuff. That's fun.
And they were doing it ahead of when all that stuff was happening, but Cam Newton's not the first guy to get in trouble for this.
All right, so a lot of things to cover here. I mean, do you want to go small picture or big picture?
Whatever. I got a question for you because I did a podcast with the other TV critic at HitFix the other day about the show, and the one thing we couldn't decide is what do you think was the best team Eric ever coached? Was it that first season team with Smash and Riggins and Matt Saracen, or was it this Lions team that won state at the end?
Oh, it was definitely the first team.
Okay.
Yeah, and that team, because it was a bigger high school, they had a better running back. This team, it's funny, like how many people were on this team? The show cut some corners the last season. I think there was like a 27
everyone was
team.
Playing 2 ways, and then this year it's enormous.
Well, but when they showed up to the Cotton Bowl for the last game, it was like maybe only 25 guys. Plus they had the mysterious Buddy Jr. injury. He must have gotten hurt in real life, right?
I don't know. That was kind of odd. But on the other hand, while I would say the running attack on the Panthers was better, Vince is allegedly this incredible quarterback who every major college wants, even though he's about 5'6".
Right.
So wouldn't you rather have him over Saracen?
But you forget, like that. Well, the season 1, I guess they didn't really count on Saracen though. It was more like the running attack, and it was, Riggins and Smash kind of set the tone for that team, I felt like.
Okay, no, I can certainly see that way. They had more manpower and better resources, so I can go with that.
Well, let's go big picture for a second here. The one thing those two teams had in common was an inordinate amount of wins in the last minute, and I think if there was a real flaw with this show, and if they had hired me as the VP of Common Sense for all the sports scenes and all this stuff, I would have strongly talked them out of all of these last-minute heroics. I think I'd love for some website to actually run all the scenarios and all the games that we had. So we had like 70 episodes. They probably had maybe 18 wins in the last minute. How many Hail Marys? At least 6, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of last-minute Hail Marys, a lot of last-second field goals. Also, Eric Taylor was kind of awful at clock management. He's sort of the Andy Reid of scripted TV in that way.
He was the Andy Reid of scripted TV, but on the other hand, nobody could pull out a 4th and 40 play like Coach Taylor.
Yeah.
Hey, give your receivers time. All right, Coach. Well, we're 63 yards away from the goal line. But hey, here's a Hail Mary. And they bent the rules of sports common sense. Like, for instance, not to give too much away. Well, I guess I'm giving something away, but let's just say there was a 63-yard Hail Mary at some point during season 5. I don't know if it had to be 63 yards. Not a lot of pro quarterbacks could throw a 63-yard Hail Mary.
Okay, probably not, especially not somebody the size of Vince.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But hey, that was my biggest pet peeve. And actually, it became a little comical after a while. Because it was like, it's 14-9. There's a minute left. They're on their own 50 and no timeouts. Here they go.
I mean, I think that's something that when you're doing a scripted drama, you struggle with plausibility versus trying to keep things exciting and dramatic every week. And I also know that some of the people working on the show were bigger football fans than others, so I think it was just a case of, well, we got to do something here. It's got to be a big climax. They got to be running through the mud with 2 seconds on the clock.
Well, it's a shame that the Friday Night Lights writers didn't script Ben Roethlisberger's last drive in Super Bowl 45. He was scored in the last play on a 45-yard double reverse Hail Mary. So anyway, season 5. Now, a lot of people said that they got really emotional during the season finale. You know what? I'm going to throw out the spoiler alert right now. We're just going to talk about it. And if you haven't seen the show yet, just pocket this podcast and save it for when you've seen the show. Leave now, no hard feelings, and maybe in the beginning, we're going to have Jacoby come on at the end and talk Jersey Shore, so maybe when I tweet out the link, I'll mention what specific point he comes on. But anyway, so the season finale, did you cry? Did you feel like it was that emotional?
I got choked up, I think, more at the second to last episode. There was a bunch of things there, like when Vince hugs Coach in the parking lot, and when Matt Saracen comes home to his grandma and she doesn't really know who he is.
Yeah.
There's a few things here and there. I was very happy when Coach ran through the mall to see Mrs. Coach and ask her to take him to Philly, but I was more emotional with the next to last episode than I was with the finale. When
he said the whole Vince Coach thing, I agree with you. I thought that was great at the end of the second to last.
Yeah.
I cried for different reasons. I cried because I couldn't believe after 70 episodes, the enduring lesson was that Coach Taylor was whipped. I was crushed.
Look, if he'd taken the Shane State job, it would be a different story. But at this point, what's his reason for staying in Dillon? Does he really want to go work for those people again?
I thought Rocky Balboa in Rocky 2, when he nearly threw away the Creed rematch because his wife was in a coma and the whole thing, and he was just going to quit boxing and because she didn't like that. I thought that was the hallmark for a whipped TV or movie sports character. Coach Taylor trumped it. He goes to Philly. What high school did he coach? Is he like out of prep school? This guy won 2 state titles.
I disagree. I don't think he would have wanted to stay in Dillon. I think those are bad people. They chased him out of the old job. He didn't want to deal with them again. Vince was going to be okay. All of his guys were pretty much graduated. If ever there was a time to cut the cord, it was then.
Oh, congratulations. Your wife got the job at Dean of Admissions of what college was that?
I think they couldn't get the right to say Bryn Mawr, so they made up something that sounded exactly like Bryn Mawr.
Yeah. At no point did he say, hey, look, I've never heard of this college. I've won 2 state titles. We're going to do what I want to do. Let me get some offers. No, I kid. It was actually a fairly logical conclusion for that relationship, which was the driving force of the show, and in my opinion, the best thing about the show was that it was top 2 or 3 marriages ever depicted on a television show. Would you agree with that?
What's better?
I don't know. I can't think of it.
I would say that's clearly the number one. I mean, one of the things I hear all the time is when I interview writers of TV shows, they say it's really hard to make a happily married couple interesting. And I'm like, no, look at this show. They did it for 5 years.
Yeah. I look at a show like The OC, which I know not on the same creativity level as this show, and went for some cheap plot lines and things like that. But the key to that show was Sandy Cohen, played by Peter Gallagher.
Yep.
And his marriage with his wife, and it was actually it was a good marriage, and I liked it, and I liked them, and I liked their relationship with their son. And once they started, she started drinking, and he started, I might have an affair with my old high school girlfriend, that's when the show became unwatchable.
Exactly. And they never did that on Friday Night Lights.
No.
When the guidance counselor kisses Tammy, it's a joke between them. It's never anything that's going to threaten the marriage. They fought about stuff, but it was never like a fake fight like you see on most shows. And
they never had the coach take an extra long look at Tyra. It's like that one extra second of, oh, come on, coach, settle down. She's 18. Never had that moment.
Tyler was hanging around that house a lot. I would not have blamed him if he had.
Right. So I thought, and also not just the marriage, but Mrs. Coach. It's really hard to find a great female TV character that doesn't go, where they just have to go overboard with it. Like, for instance, Glenn Close in Damages.
Yeah.
It's hard to find just a strong female character who's just good, and there's a lot of nuances to it. And yet, when you think about it, what really happened to her in 5 years? She had a baby. She got kissed by the guidance counselor once. It wasn't like she had a lot of dramatic things to hold on to, and yet I felt like she was the rock of the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, she changed jobs and, was the guidance counselor and then the principal and then the guidance counselor again. But, I mean, mainly it was her role with him was to sort of just provide this great example for the kids to try to live up to, and I thought that was cool.
So, best character on the show other than the Taylors?
I got to go Matt Saracen.
Really?
Just because the episode where his dad dies is, I think, the best episode they ever did, and that's the one that's going to stay with me the longest. I'm betting you're going to say Riggins, and I could see that, but I love poor Matt and all the garbage that the universe heaped on him. Oh,
I see. I was going to say Tyra's rapist.
Tyra's rapist?
Totally underrated. No, I'm kidding. It's the worst moment in the history of the show.
I will say, though, I was rewatching the episode where he tried to rape her, and I always hated that murder storyline, and then I'm watching it, I'm like, you know what? I'd like to see him die. I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad of a storyline. It was just, it as you pointed out in one of your columns this week, it betrayed the show. It betrayed what it had built in the first season. It just felt wrong.
Yep, and they ran away from it as quickly as they could. So
I disagree with you, though, about Saracen and his dad, that being the best show. I think it's in the top 7 for me, but to me, the best show ever was Smash Williams and the coach who was kind of racist toward him, the 2-parter.
Oh, yeah, with Mac. That was a good one.
I mean, that was just, and man, if you watch that show again when the just everything about that I loved. I thought that show that 2-parter hit the entire potential of the show, and then it culminates with they win the game. They have the big riot in the game. It gets forfeited. They win. The bus is going back. Gets pulled over by the cops, and the racist coach stands up for Smash.
Yep.
Fantastic. But I thought the most important episode for me was the one about Lila's slam page. About 9 or 10 episodes in, I just thought that was the first great episode of the show.
Okay.
You're not with me on that?
No, it's just that's not necessarily in the top 10 of ones I would think of, that's all.
When was the last time you watched it?
It's been a while. I dove through a lot of season 1, getting ready for the finale, but I don't think I watched that episode.
That was the episode where I'd always been watching the show going, I started watching it late. I think 18 of the episodes had run, and I somehow got the DVDs from Japan or something. My friend Connor got some weird DVDs that had Japanese subtitles in them. And I remember watching the first 6 or 7 episodes thinking, I don't know how they're going to get even 30 episodes out of this show. With the football, they're going to have to dive into the characters more. And that episode was the first one where I was like, wow, they might actually pull this off. They're going into these characters. And that whole thing with her and the love triangle, I just thought that was pretty well done. We didn't see her in the season finale.
No, she came back in the fourth season, and I don't think she was available to come back this time. It's sort of these last couple of years with the alums, a lot of it was just who was doing a movie and who wasn't. So
the biggest challenge they had, I remember saying this to Peter Berg in a podcast, because this is what sunk the White Shadow, which was the previous owner of the greatest sports television show of all time, was when you start graduating the characters that people are attached to, you can't screw up the next class.
Yep.
If you miss with the casting, if you screw up with how you define the characters, the show ends. It's over. You can't. I mean, White Shadow lasted 3 seasons. I think it was like an aborted 3 seasons too. Like they got out of that. They did a nice job of kind of bringing in the new people while letting the old people hang around. I thought that was the smartest thing they did.
Yeah, and it made sense that somebody like Tim Riggins wouldn't actually leave Dylan, and so you got to keep him around for most of the 5 seasons, aside from when he was in jail.
Right. And it didn't help that he became like a legitimate star in real life.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was somebody who in the first season, I really didn't like him at all. I thought Taylor Kitsch wasn't a very good actor, and I think part of that was just he was in a lot of scenes with Minka Kelly, and she was kind of bringing him down. But by the end, man, he's incredible.
Yeah. They did it. He does a nice job. I think you pointed this out of not having a lot to work with from a line standpoint, but doing a lot with it.
Yeah, like, you know, when
he's pauses.
Yeah, when he's just, you know, standing out there in the rain, when the bus leaves without him, or when he's walking into the sheriff's station, all these just great silent Riggins moments, or leaving the cleats on the field.
I really liked the Luke character, and I felt like in season 5 he kind of petered out. I liked him more in season 4. I thought that was a little bit of a wasted opportunity. They didn't know quite what to do with him.
Well, do you buy that someone, the second best player on a state championship team and the captain of the defense and all of that, would not get a sniff from Division I?
Yeah, well, I mean, as we covered earlier, that was the most unrealistic sports thing that happened on the show. I don't think it cracked the top 30. But yeah, if you're on the state title Texas team, you're probably going somewhere for college.
Yep.
I'm guessing.
Even if it's just a place that's using him as bait to get Vince the next year, somebody would have given him a scholarship.
I thought the biggest wasted opportunity for the show, just like looking about what could they have done with characters and things like that. They never had that like stud linebacker. They stayed on offense for some reason, but when you think about it, like all the comebacks were on offense. If they had like some sort of stud defensive end or lineman or somebody, strong safety that could have made a couple of hits, that could have been a way to do it.
Well, they tried doing that with Santiago in the second season, and then we just had to pretend that Santiago didn't exist anymore.
Yeah, what happened to Santiago?
I think it was just basically Jason Katims, the showrunner, told me there earlier in the week that when they came back from season 2 into season 3 after the writer's strike, they just decided they were going to cut the cord on every season 2 story they'd been telling, and so Santiago just went away.
Santiagos in general don't do well in movies or TV shows.
Yeah.
In Few Good Men, Santiago had a rough time.
He had a rougher time than Friday Night Lights Santiago.
Well, maybe the same thing happened to this guy. Maybe somebody ordered the Code Red on him.
I just remember there was in the first season for a while they didn't seem to know what to do with Tyra, and then they did that Powder Puff Football episode, and she's playing linebacker and just knocking the hell out of everybody. And I thought, all right, they don't have any defensive players, and they don't know what to do with Tyra. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Put her on the team.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
They didn't do it.
Or made her a field goal kicker or something. I also thought they could have done twins. I would have enjoyed. Or even the older brother, little brother dynamic, where you have the senior, but you have the sophomore who's better than him.
Yeah.
And the senior's trying to hold on. They hit so many storylines though in that first season. When you look back, though.
Well, because they had 22 episodes that first season, so
Love
it was
Triangle.
easier.
They had the street got hurt. They had the whole paralyzed, that whole thing. They had the steroids. They had Riggins drinking. They had a lot of stuff. So I think.
Well, in the first season alone, Jason Street had like 3 different careers. I mean, he was star quarterback.
Right.
Then he was like, wheelchair rugby star, and then assistant coach, and then he became a car salesman, and then he became a sports agent without having a college degree. Street gets around.
Street was one of those guys I think they felt bad about getting rid of because he was a good actor, but probably could have gotten rid of him in season 2 at some point.
Probably.
I would have actually sent him away with Saracen's grandma.
You didn't like Saracen's grandma?
No, not really.
Well, you made of stone? Jeez.
I am. You may not have known that, but I am made of stone. Yeah, I don't know. We get it. Get it with Saracen's grandma.
Grandma Saracen.
What actor do you think, other than Riggins, improved the most over the course of the time? I have someone in mind.
Who do you have in mind?
I thought Julie Taylor went from, kind of like she only had the one move, which would just be to start crying, to actually there was some acting by season 5 from her.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I mean, pretty much, other than Minka Kelly, pretty much everyone the show had was a really good actor, and in some cases, like Tyra and Landry, they just didn't get a chance to show it at first, and then when they did, they were great. Yeah. I would say you're right, definitely. Julie is the one who, because she had a ton of screen time at the start, she got better as she went along.
What about biggest plot line that seemed like it was going to go somewhere, but they never followed up on it, that you're kind of secretly disappointed that it never went further?
Well, I would like to see more Santiago. In terms of, this wasn't a big plot line, but I kept waiting for them to get back to crazy Coach Stan turning out to be gay, and they never did anything with that. So.
No, I think I must have been half asleep when they introduced that. Was that like when Rawls was at the gay bar on The Wire? It was
similar? A little bit more than the Rawls thing. Like Julie goes with the lesbian bassist from Landry's band.
Oh, that's right.
To the local gay bar, and Stan is there, and then she tries to talk to him afterwards, and he denies that it ever happened.
Right, I remember that. Well, here's my disappointment. Okay. Landry was in that band.
Yeah.
I really liked the girl who was like, he had a crush on her, but she was a lesbian, but I felt like that plot could have gone somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely could have used her. I mean, the problem is Landry was kind of always overbooked because he was in the band, and he was on the football team, and he was killing people, so it was like there was never enough time.
Killing rapists.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a story they didn't do enough with, I think the idea of Landry joining the football team, that could have been fantastic. But because they were doing it at the exact same time that he was killing people and hiding bodies, they didn't really have any time to spend on it. And so you had to gloss over all this stuff about the outcast who's always hated the football team becoming a part of it, and it was just never really there.
See, I would argue I didn't like that they did that. And I never felt, to me, it always felt like he was shoehorned in because people liked the character.
Yeah.
But in season 1, he was so clearly like not a football guy.
Yeah.
And not an athlete. And all of a sudden now it's like, hey, I think he caught one of the 97 Hail Marys, actually. And now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I think there's an episode where he's playing tight end and he gets a key first down. So
that was tipped by 9 people when it was 1st and 80. And then he kicked the 45-yard field goal, which my friend Paul Hersheimer, that's to him still the number one biggest flaw in the history of the show, is that Landry kicked the 45-yarder. He can't get over it.
No, and the funny thing is, like, people always said that Jesse Plemons, who played Landry, was actually one of the few actors in the cast who had played football and was good at it.
Yeah.
But he was clearly never a kicker because his kicking form was awful.
Yeah, I think he was basically like almost like a Mark Mosley.
Yeah. I also would like to see more J.D. McCoy. Apparently they just decided not to deal with them in the last season, but I would have liked to see what happened to the McCoys after the team lost at the end of season 4.
Couldn't agree more, and I think if I had a big regret, it's too bad it didn't go to a 6th season. We merged the 2 schools, and J.D. McCoy is still there, and Vince is there, and they have to figure it out, and Coach is in charge, and that's his last season.
Yeah.
That would have been good. You would have signed up for that.
That would have been interesting, although, I mean, they kind of already did the coach has to deal with J.D. McCoy and the quarterback that he likes in season 3, so...
Yeah, but we had never had a QB controversy, though.
No, we did. Matt Saracen and J.D., and Matt gets turned into a wide receiver because, J.D.'s dad kept pushing for him, and then he gets benched in the state championship that year.
But J.D. was better than Matt, though.
J.D. had a better arm than Matt, Is Jeff George better than, Trent Dilfer or something?
Uh-oh, I hope Whitlock doesn't hear this. He's very upset. I kind of miss J.D. McCoy. I like that dad, and I like that character. You're kind of wooing me back with season 3 a little bit.
Yeah, no, season 3 was definitely a great comeback year after season 2, which I'd just like to pretend didn't happen. So.
And season 4 and season 5 basically should have been one long season with about 4 less episodes.
Yeah, that maybe could have worked, but I like the idea that they had to be pathetic one year before they could be good. I don't know if you could have done both of those in the same year.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Do you buy that the team could have gone from forfeiting its first game to 15 months later winning the state title?
It's a little bit of a stretch. That's something where I think if they'd had a 6th season, it would have been better if 2 years in. But, he got Vince, when they redistricted Dylan, apparently, Joe McCoy and Buddy missed a whole lot of really talented people. And Eric's a good coach, so it's no less plausible than about 15 other things they did on the show.
All right, let's go big picture. So, greatest sports show ever?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nobody's a bigger White Shadow fan than me, but this is just a more modern show, and it lasted longer.
All right, well, let me ask you this, because I know how much you care about 90210.
Yeah.
Best high school show ever.
So what are the other candidates?
All right, well, you could do 90210, you could do the OC. I always loved Veronica Mars, but I would say it's Friday Night Lights in a walk.
Yeah, I guess you would say the best done high school show.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the most successful. I'm not sure it was the most entertaining. I think 90210 might have that crown. But
a lot of what was entertaining about 90210 was not intentional. So
listen, I don't care. Entertaining is entertaining.
Okay.
Iron's earrings, blonde permafro factors into my rankings. Okay. It has to. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of it as the best high school show ever.
No, and what I like is they did the one thing that no other high school shows really had the guts to do, which is everybody graduated and they didn't all go to UT Dillon. They got rid of everybody and they started over. So
yeah, and they didn't keep everybody. They were smart about it. Like Saracen was a 10th grader when we first met him.
Yeah, although they kind of played fast and loose with Riggins and Lila and Tyra because.
Right.
We're supposed to believe they were sophomores that first season. That's a little silly.
Riggins was 30 when he graduated. Yeah, they had to. I think Riggins became so popular they didn't have a choice.
Well, I like in the season finale when he's talking to Tyra and he says, I'm never going to do anything illegal ever again, and then he pops open a beer. I'm like, aren't you 19? But on the other hand, if he was held back a few times, maybe not.
So, how did we fail as a country that this show didn't keep going, that the show had to run on DirecTV first for a couple of years? What went wrong?
It makes me sad, man. I think it's mainly the football thing. It's just, like I've told you before, I think people who like sort of, high school drama don't like football, and people who like football don't want to watch a teen drama. And it sort of didn't matter how good it was. And a lot of people had to be kind of dragged kicking and screaming to see it, and there just weren't enough of them.
Okay, but football is our most popular sport. We had 100 and something million people watch the Super Bowl. I would argue football is more popular than it's ever been.
But
wouldn't
people
that translate
who
to ratings?
Don't like scripted drama necessarily, even if it's scripted drama about football.
But even if 10% of the people who like football like scripted drama, that's enough for a hit show.
It could be. I don't know. I just know that, for instance, when you put scripted shows on after the Super Bowl, after a playoff game, or you promote them heavily, the football audience doesn't usually show up the next day for that show.
I subscribe to the Chuck Klosterman theory on this.
Okay.
I think it was the wrong network, and I think Tim Goodman wrote about this recently too, but Chuck wrote about it a couple years ago about how Friday Night Lights just always felt like it should have been a CBS show. And NBC never felt like the right channel for it. And had it been on CBS, and we, just with the way they do their promos and the way the music was, and I just felt like it would have had a better chance. Does that make sense or no?
I mean, I could see that. Certainly CBS shows tend to sort of, appeal more, to the family, more to the heartland, all of that. But on the other hand, would CBS have allowed things like Riggins being constantly drunk for 3 seasons? I mean, they got away with a lot of stuff that I don't know that I would have seen on a CBS version of that show.
Would it have had a better chance on Fox?
Yeah, Fox has a really weird track record, but, I mean, they do have football, so maybe. I don't know that the network was the thing. I mean, it didn't help that NBC was going through a really bad stretch when it debuted, and so it wasn't in a position to promote it. I'll give you that. So maybe if it had been on a more successful network, that would have helped.
What about, when did it run the first season? Was it Friday?
No, first season it ran Tuesdays.
That's
and
right.
The reason they didn't put it on Fridays at first was because they were afraid basically anyone who cares about high school football would be at high school football games. And then I think they just sort of gave up, and they're like, look, it's got Friday in the title. We have to air it on Fridays. Yeah,
that's a mistake. It should always been on Friday. If you have a show with a Friday in the title, it should probably be on the day that is. It's my expert advice.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't have Friday. Like NBC would never call Sunday Night Football Thursday Night Football, but run on Sunday. I think people are dumb and they get confused.
And the other thing I would say is, I mean, this is a show that just put you through the ringer. Not just like when Saracen's dad died, but even in the first episode when Street gets paralyzed. I mean, all the time, this show beat you up emotionally in a way that like The Wire and only a couple of other shows ever have. And The Wire was never a big hit either. I don't think people want to experience raw emotion in their TV on the level that Friday Night Lights was doing it. As
evidenced by Hawaii Five-O's ratings.
Yep.
People want simple. They want light. Any other lingering thoughts that you might have here?
On why it didn't work?
Just in general.
Well, I mean, I just thought it was like a miracle that it ran 5 seasons. I thought it was going to get canceled after the first one. So
I agree. Now, does this hurt or help the chances of another really good sports show launching and sticking?
I don't know. It's certainly people will point to this as an example of, hey, we tried this and this is one of the great shows ever, and still nobody watched. But on the other hand, maybe if instead of a broadcast network doing it, ESPN or somebody else tries it, and ESPN doesn't do it about pro football, so they get into trouble. Like what happened with Playmakers, it could happen. But I don't know that you could try a sports show on a mass appeal broadcast network.
So you'd have to do AMC, like that kind of level of channel.
Yeah, exactly. If you can do it for that level budget and still make it look as good as that show, you could maybe pull it off.
Well, the irony of Friday Night Lights is had it come along 5 years later, the ratings wouldn't have been such a disaster because ratings have just shrunk across the board anyway.
Yeah.
It would have come down toward the pack a little bit.
Yeah, although you could also say that its ratings would have started out even smaller. So it's hard to say.
Oh, I like how you did that. You flipped that on me.
Yeah, because I mean, they say that all the time, like, show X was canceled in 2005, and ABC would kill for that now. But if the show was on now, it wouldn't be doing that number. So,
give us the 5 shows that you feel are the must-watches right now.
5 shows that I feel are the must-watches right now that Friday Night Lights is over. Let's see, Justified on FX, Parks and Recreation and Community on NBC. I think the Chicago Code on Fox. I mean, it's only a couple episodes in, so I got to see, but I really like that. And for a 5th one, I mean, Mad Men and Breaking Bad aren't on the air right now, so. What?
You can't even get to 5.
No, I can get to 5, but I'm going to name some, like I could name Chuck, but I know you hate Chuck, so I'm not going to bother with that.
I don't hate Chuck.
30 Rock's having a real good year, so I'll go with the 3 NBC comedies, Justified and Chicago Code. There you go.
Hate's a strong word. I just chose not to watch Chuck.
You don't love Chuck. How's that?
I chose not to watch Chuck.
Okay.
I miss, thinking that there's no Lost and no Friday Night Lights is weird.
Yeah, it's saying goodbye to a lot of shows lately. Doesn't feel good.
Without really a replacement that I feel that great about. Like, especially, I don't think there's a lot of shows that where a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband and a wife can watch and like equally. I think you'll have shows that one will like more than the other, or one will love and the other one will tolerate. Yeah. I think it's really hard to find a show that, like, for me and my wife, who are pretty different with what we like, both of us were invested and into it and liked it for different reasons.
Yeah, no, that absolutely happens with me and my wife as well, especially once we started having kids and there was less time, for everything. So it becomes just about prioritizing. And
I felt like the Coach Taylor and his wife were a role model for my marriage and everybody's marriage.
Yeah, although I'm guessing they didn't watch the same TV shows either.
You don't think so?
Probably not.
All right, well, so you gave us, what about, you happy with Saturday Night Live this season?
I don't think Saturday Night Live's been real good this season, no.
Any HBO shows you're happy about?
Well, I mean, I'll be happy when Tremaine comes back. I mean, you're just talking about shows that are on right now. There's a lot of shows I like that are just, in between seasons at the moment. When Breaking Bad comes back, that'll be the best show on TV again. I don't know, have you been watching Lights Out, speaking of sports TV?
I like Lights Out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Lights Out isn't on that Friday Night Lights level with me, but it's got me watching every week. But, I mean, there's a case where you talk about who's going to watch a football drama.
Yep.
There's a lot more people that like football than boxing.
Yeah, and the ratings have reflected that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's a show that you have to, I think, go in knowing that show's not going to rate that well.
Yeah.
You know.
And also that show, unlike Friday Night Lights where everybody loved Mrs. Coach, sort of has that problem of the wife is really kind of difficult to get through the scenes with her.
Yeah, it's funny. You mess up one casting thing like that, and it's really tough to bounce back from it. Is my show How to Make It America coming back?
Yeah, it will be back probably in the summer or something, whenever Entourage is back. They just haven't scheduled it yet.
Was I the only one who enjoyed that show, or were there others?
I think there were others. People ask me about it on Twitter now and then, but it will be back.
Good.
You don't have to worry.
Good. And you lost Terriers, which you were a champion of. That one got canceled.
Yeah, that was sad, but not surprising. That ratings was even worse than on Lights Out. So, hopefully the DVD set comes out at some point, and I can just watch that over and over.
So it seems like the shows that are hitting right now seem to be the half-hour comedies. It seems like we're in a return to glory for the half-hour comedies.
It's a pretty good period. Modern Family's doing quite well. I like Cougar Town too. There's a lot of half hours right now, and a lot of the great dramas do these short seasons, so they're off the air for most of the year. So, and Mad Men hasn't even technically been renewed yet, so God knows when that's going to be back. What's the feedback you're getting on American Idol? I think people like Tyler and J-Lo. The problem is Randy's still there. Yeah. Randy adds nothing, and they didn't really replace Simon, so the two new people are fine, but the show's still missing something. They're missing. Yeah, it might end up being J-Lo. They're missing the one person who's just going to stand up to the other two as they nod and push somebody through that doesn't deserve to make it. But J-Lo seems to cringe whenever she has to say anything negative. So I mean, she's got the Paula problem there. But she sometimes there's been a few times where she's just like, "Come on, guys, we're not really doing this, are we?" Like she's just waiting for one of them to step up, and I think giving Randy that last seat was a real mistake because that last seat is the most important seat. I would put J-Lo in that seat. As crazy as that sounds, Randy had to lead off and do his "Come on, dog" and that whole thing. I thought Tyler was going to be one of the biggest disasters in the history of mankind because I don't know if he's totally coherent. And after seeing the first few episodes, I still feel that he's not totally coherent. But his reactions to the anybody who's half decent looking have made the show work this season. Yeah, I mean, he's basically the male Paula. He's the crazy one where you're just tuning in to see what he's going to say next. Yeah, it's so great when he's just staring them down, and he's like 3 times as old as they are. It's so creepy. But I do worry about. When once they get down to the final 20 and it becomes a real talent show, I don't really trust any of those 3 to tell me who's going to be a star. And that's when I think that show's going to be in trouble. They don't have that person who, even if it's like the NFL and it's Trent Dilfer talking, all right, I trust Dilfer. Dilfer knows quarterbacks. He's telling me something and out of those 3, I don't feel like they're telling me any really more than I'm feeling as I'm watching the person. And Randy again. Every year he says, I know I say it every year, but this is the best talent we've ever had. And, I mean that's been the big problem the last few years. Is just the kids haven't been good. So, last thing, Conan ratings have fallen. Yeah, they've fallen a little bit. So it's not a surprise. There was a lot of rubbernecking at first. Now it settles in with the core Conan people. You think he just stares in a mirror and cries? He's making a lot of money. Even if it's TBS money instead of NBC or Fox money, he's still making a lot, and he gets to do his show. So I don't feel pity for Conan. I think he's doing okay for himself. And the NBC paid him off, too. Yep, exactly. Conan came out okay in this. Yeah, he did. Leno will eventually be the big loser, I think. Because it seems like those ratings are dropping, and people seem to like that Fallon show. That Fallon has kind of a foothold, and it'll be interesting when that momentum I'm kind of shocked because I never really liked Fallon on SNL, and I like his show, and I don't watch a lot of late-night TV anymore, but him and Ferguson are the 2 that I usually watch. Oh, so interesting. All right, so we can read you on hitfix.com. How often are you writing now? Many, many times a day. All right. So we'll check you out there. Alan Sepinwall, I'm sorry our favorite show has come to an end. We'll find another one to talk about, Bill, I'm sure. Losing Lost and Friday Night Lights within an 8-month span was tough, but we'll make it. As long as Draper comes back, we're okay. You're right. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. All right, now we're going to call the czar of reality TV, Dave Jacoby, at work, only because last night was
one of the most controversial Jersey Shore episodes we've had in a while. He's on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline right now. What's happening?
What's happening, Bill?
What was the difference between what I witnessed last night between Ronnie and Sammy and a domestic violence incident?
I'm reeling. I can't even wrap my head around the whole thing. It got scary there for a while.
Do you think they didn't show stuff?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so at all. But there's a point when he was when he turned into Hulk mode and lifted up the bed with Sammy still on it.
Yeah.
That I was like, she could easily just slip off that thing and break a leg.
Yeah.
And the next thing she's in the hospital and they're like, oh, we were having a fight. And then he lifted up the bed over his head, spun it around 3 times, and I went flying. Like, it's pretty intense. I went back and forth as I watched it. I was like, oh God, I feel terrible for Sammy. And I was like, oh no, I feel kind of bad for Ronnie. I was just like, it's all weird.
Was there ever any point where you were just ready for them to destroy one another?
No, there was a point where I was ready. I was just like, you guys should just never talk to each other ever again.
Yeah.
This isn't going well.
It might be the best depiction ever of the couple that we all know in our real lives who just shouldn't be together, who fight all the time in front of us and make everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes.
It's that couple on a reality show.
Yeah. It got to the point where, like, they were basically, like, I mean, that's kind of what started it, is when the situation pulled aside Sammy and was like, maybe you guys shouldn't be together, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And broke the guy code.
Oh, he totally did. And then he knew he was going to get his butt kicked, so he apologized to Ronnie.
Which is, I mean, the amount of bros that were thrown around in that, like, 4-minute argument sequence was astonishing. It
was a very bro-heavy episode.
It was so bro-ish.
And don't sleep on what happened last week when what's her face? Sammy said to Ronnie as he was leaving the room, "Don't shut me out, bro." Or whatever. She called him the bro. I didn't know the girlfriends could say bro.
That's a violation of the bro code as well.
Yeah, I didn't know girls could throw the bro around.
There was so many bros. Oh, you haven't watched Bad Girls Club? A lot of broing going on there too from the ladies.
Girls saying bro to each other?
Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah, bro. It was intense. It was intense. I mean, one of the things that I found. I've been through a couple of rough breakups in my time, and I've been down and out before. And whenever I go through a tough breakup, you know what I need? I need to ride some amusement park rides, And
we can guess that they might have lit one up right before they went on those rides.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, when I'm feeling down and out, the first thing I want to do is go on the scrambler,
It was pretty funny.
Kind of work it out.
It was pretty funny that who was that? Paulie? That was his solution to the whole
thing. Let's go to the boardwalk and ride some rides. All right, bro?
I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
Even though that Ronnie Sammy thing was pretty intense and pretty compelling television, I feel like they've ruined season 3.
Ronnie and Sammy?
Yeah, I'm not getting enough of anybody else.
Well, they did that to season 2. Don't forget.
I know.
Miami was all about that, too, for the first half.
Where has the situation been this season?
I don't know. He's been wearing his Sports Nation hat, though. I appreciate that.
It's just not getting enough of anybody.
Yeah. I mean, like, the whole Roger storyline doesn't really do much for me.
No.
It's like, oh, Roger's leaving, so JWoww puts on, like, pleather chaps or something.
Yeah.
Which was oddly her, like, sex outfit is, like, the most conservative outfit I've ever seen her in on the show.
Oh, the leather sex outfit?
Yeah. Like that's actually like that's like the most concealed she's ever appeared on the show before.
That had my favorite moment of the episode last night, which I watched in a Theraflu haze. But they were walking upstairs, and Snooki goes, "I want to watch." Yeah. And that guy Roger just under his breath goes, "The more the merrier." I was like, "Oh no! Somebody stop them!"
That's how you romance down there at the Jersey Shore.
The worst threesome ever.
They're like, it was almost like they're like, Roger, he's a local. It's like, wait a second, like, you guys don't like locals either? Like, wait, it's not cool to be from Jersey now?
Yeah, she was mad that Roger was too popular.
Yeah, he was too popular.
He knew everybody. They couldn't go to dinner. Yeah. They couldn't go to dinner without people coming up to Roger. Meanwhile, they can't go anywhere on this show without 2,000 people following them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, here's one of my biggest takeaway from last night, Bill. It is so abundantly clear and obvious that they're watching the Miami season as the show is being shot. I mean, you can tell. Like, that's why Sammy and Ronnie are having these fights. That's why Sammy is apologizing to Snooki and Jen. That's why Ronnie is having fights with Mike, because they're watching the episodes and reacting to them.
Oh, so you're saying as season 3 is going on, the season 2 airings are the catalyst to all the drama we're seeing.
Exactly. That's why. That's why at the
this.
beginning of the season, Sammy is so mad at Jenny and the girls, and then as she sees like the writing of the letter and all that other stuff, and she sees that all play out on the episodes.
Yeah. Then
that's why she turns around and apologizes.
But it's a little too abrupt for me, that apology.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little. I've hated your guts for 18 months, but oh, by the way, now we're whatever the girl equivalent of bros is.
Yeah, you've carved out your respective territories. You're the Bruins and she's the Canadians, and that's the way we want it to be. We don't want the Bruins and the Canadians to get along.
But I wouldn't
want 13 fights.
See, the producer in me says, why are they suspending this disbelief that they're not famous and that they're not on television?
Well, this is the Hills conundrum.
You know,
they did this with the Hills. They pretend that they're not really famous.
Yeah, I don't understand why doing this. If someone said, "Hey, you're producing the Jersey Shore," first of all, I'd be like, "Great, I'll do it for free." And second of all, I'd be like, "Let's just make them watching the episodes on the couch part of the episode."
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, wouldn't it be fun to watch them watch themselves and like watch Sammy when she sees Ronnie like upside down from a stripper pole making out with like 14 girls at the same time?
Well, and the other part I don't understand is when they film these after shows and how much they've seen at that point and what day those shows are filmed.
Yeah, and what's happening and where they are. I don't know. The after shows, you'd think that they're not as good as I want them to be.
No, they're not. How about this? They're not good.
You're going to throw that out there, huh?
Yeah. Hey, first of all, terrible host.
Julissa?
I always have terrible hosts. Yeah.
I like Julissa.
I'm not saying I don't like her. I'm just saying she's bad at running that show.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be
do a good job running that show.
An S_T stir. It's a job of that host. Stir stuff. Stir it up.
Yeah, stir it up. She definitely needs to stir it up.
5 of the 7 cast members out there, and nobody's yelling at each other. You're doing a bad job.
For sure.
Yeah. What else?
So here's another one is Ronnie has a way of like literally just completely violating their romantic relationship in every way, shape, or form.
But turning it on her.
He's like a lawyer. He's got the judo going. Like he's just completely violated this woman, and just like it's like a how-to of how to ruin a relationship. And at the end, he ends up making Sammy feel guilty.
It's awesome. And I had a great mailbag question once that I didn't use because it was during the Miami season, and somebody suggested that if Tiger was wired like Ronnie, he would have totally gotten out of the Elin Woods thing.
Oh, and not only that, he would
turned it on. It
would have apologized.
It would have been her fault for going through his BlackBerry. I didn't use it because it was so Tiger Jersey Shore heavy at that point. I felt like it was overkill. But, yeah, that's what he would have done in that situation. Wait, it's a total betrayal. You looked at my BlackBerry. How could you do that?
I'm supposed to trust you. You're supposed to trust me. I can never trust you again.
We have nothing. We have no foundation now. And she would have started sobbing.
A relationship is built on communication and trust, and you violated both of those. I can't look at you right now.
Yeah. He would have been awesome. He's almost like, I always joke about the VP of Common Sense. He's like the VP of adultery. He's like the guy that who's the guy that the New York representative who just got in the Facebook trouble or Craigslist trouble? He put the picture.
Oh, Mr. Lee, yeah.
Yeah, he put the shirtless picture of himself on Craigslist.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
Yeah.
He needed Ronnie to come in and tell him what to do.
Yeah, for sure. He would have turned it.
If you were having more sex with me, I wouldn't have to go on Craigslist.
Exactly.
It's your fault.
I like Ronnie's rationale for doing it. This time it was, he's like, sure, maybe I went to the club in Miami and like made out with girls and snorted syphilis off some girl's, boob or something.
And climbed a stripper pole.
Yeah, but I did it when you weren't there.
Yeah.
At least you did it while I was there.
I had the dignity to do that when you weren't there.
Yeah, and then when I come home, I would try to sleep with you. I'd sneak in your bed and try to sleep with you drunk after cheating on you. At least that's a man. At least I can man up to my actions. You did it while I was there.
The great moment of this season was Dina was accused of performing a sexual act that we're not allowed to talk about in the BS report. Mm-hmm. And they aren't allowed to talk about it on MTV either. And they somehow managed to convey what that act was through a variety of bleeps and conversations that I thought was masterful.
Yeah, there's no question about what they were talking about.
And you know what else? I don't think that guy was just throwing it out there.
Oh, she's guilty as charged.
Yeah. It's too crazy to make up.
And God bless her.
Yeah, God bless her.
Good for her.
That was a great 10 minutes, though.
That was a really good 10 minutes.
Really good. I thought they made new history on MTV. So where do we go now? It sounds like our dream of single Ronnie is kind of going to be a nightmare because he's not going to be that into it.
It went. I mean, Ronnie. If someone would have told me this is going to happen this season on the Jersey Shore, Ronnie's going to cry. Not just cry. Like, it's one thing to wipe a tear out of your eye, like when you're watching Blue Valentine or something.
Yeah.
But Ronnie is going to break down sobbing 2 times an episode, every single episode. And then he's going to break up with Sammy and be so distraught that he's not bringing back 4 girls a night.
Right.
I would have said, no way. There's no chance.
I'm with you.
That's what's happening. Like, did you see the next time on?
Yeah, it was terrible. You know, I will say, though, that Ronnie's been a rat. You know, he's all over the map. He's crying. He's not angry.
I wonder what could lead to these sort of swings in emotion.
He's getting punched in the face and not reacting, and then he's getting, an innocent insult will send him spiraling out of control. He's destroying bedrooms. All Ronnie's actions make a ton more sense when he's an admitted juice head.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. I mean, you can take that word and sort of make your own, come to your own conclusions with it. But
like if you and I went to the Knicks game the other night, and I coughed all over you for 4 quarters.
Yes, you did.
If you had cried during the 3rd quarter and then started a fist fight in the 4th quarter and then cried again, and then later on in the night I punched you in the face and you didn't react, and then you just went in the closet and cried more, I would say, wow, Jacoby's really on something.
There's something going on.
Yeah, there's something going on chemically with Dave Jacoby.
Yeah.
The czar of reality TV. Yeah.
Ronnie was strange, man. He was acting weird when the way that he would attack her possessions.
Yeah.
Like, it started going to a weird place.
Well, as a glasses wearer, when he broke the glasses, that's when I did, it wasn't bad enough that he ripped apart her bed and threw every dress and anything she owned on the porch. I was fine with all that. The glasses really got me.
Yeah, what is it with people in their glasses?
Oh, it's the ultimate. It's the same thing with Lord of the Flies. When they break Piggy's glasses, I go crazy.
I don't understand how your species, those non-seeing people, made it this far. Like, shouldn't evolution have weeded your kind out a long time ago?
We'd be dead. I would have been dead 150 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How did you guys even make it this far with those dirty, mutated genes?
They would have put me in the front of some line in some war. I would have been shooting muskets because I couldn't see. They would have put me in the front, and I would have been gunned down immediately.
I'm going to start a petition that if your eyes are messed up to a certain point, like I'm sure there's some sort of like metric for this, you're no longer allowed to breed.
No longer allowed to breed?
No longer allowed to breed.
How dare you? I had 2.
It's for the best of our species.
No, because the eyesight takes after the mom.
Huh.
My kids have good eyesight.
I also don't understand why people only have 1 pair of glasses. Like, I've got like 100 pairs of sneakers, but
because glasses are expensive. They cost like $400 or $500.
You wear them on your face. Like, I don't understand why people don't have 4 or 5 different pairs to go with their different looks.
Yeah, but you have a sneaker fetish. That's not fair. I had new Nikes on the other day, and you immediately noticed them. It was the first thing you noticed on my body before my face. I could have had like one of those Kevin Garnett bandage wounds on my face. You would have known the sneakers first.
Yeah, I like sneakers.
You're a sneaker guy.
And also, do you know who else loves sneakers?
Who?
Pauly D. Did you see him taking the 409 to his sneakers last night? you know you've got a sneaker fetish and you start using like household cleaning products on them.
Has Pauly D had a hookup in 3 seasons?
Oh, God. Has anybody, though? They're either hooking up a lot and they're not showing it to us.
Vinny's hooking up.
Vinny's hooking up?
Yeah, Vinny's hooking up.
If you watched the first episode and said, all right, a year and a half from now, they're all going to be famous, which one of these 3 dudes is going to be hooking up the most? Or 4 dudes, however many dudes there are.
What would you have said? We wouldn't have said Vinny.
No, I would have definitely said the situation.
Yeah. It sounds like next year's the last year. The situation's out after this.
What's going on?
He said he's out. He said Michael Jordan left after 6 rings, and he's going to leave after 4 great seasons.
Yeah, man, you put me at the wheel, they'd all be gone at this point. I want a whole new, the Jersey Shore shouldn't be about these 7 or 8 people. It should be a rotating cast of people that go and live in this house and work in that T-shirt shop. They
That's
really need new blood.
Because I was thinking the American Idol, which I was really down on initially. The new blood hasn't been terrible. Now, I think the next move is to get rid of Randy next season and really get a better judge. But the J-Lo Tyler thing has added some new energy, and it feels like a different show.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a bad way.
I'm having trouble watching that one. It's like I try every season to watch, and I just can't. I just don't care about your stupid talent show.
See, I like it because my daughter likes it.
That makes sense.
I'm in for anything I can watch with her that doesn't involve like Dora the Explorer or Scooby.
Yeah.
So the fact that she enjoys this and she likes that, she thinks it's really funny that Steven Tyler likes the girls and things like that. So it's kind of, deep down I'm going, don't like Steven Tyler too much, honey.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't get too.
There's some undercurrent of like weird, like semi like gender role-y weird accusations that he threw out at her. When like in the middle of a fight, he's like, "How many times did you cook for me?" It's just like a strange thing to throw out there. It's like, I don't know.
That's an Italian thing, though.
I guess.
Your women are expected to cook for you.
I guess.
My mom shows up to visit and she cooks for us because that's her job. It's in her DNA. She's 100% Italian.
Yeah. And there's something that I love about Snooki. Snooki's really growing on me. You know, like at first I found her sort of annoying, but at this point she's like the wise old sage. She's like the voice of reason in the house. I'm
just glad somebody said the word Snooki's really growing on me and it wasn't talking about a console.
It didn't have to be frozen and then surgically removed.
Give me your quick Skins review.
Here's my thing. I don't personally enjoy it. I watched some of the British one. I like that one better. But when I put myself in the shoes of like a 13-year-old, it's the coolest show on TV. Like if you're 13, all you want to do is be in junior high. When you're in junior high, all you want to do is be in high school. When you're in high school, all you want to do is be in college. So if you're like 3 or 4 years younger than the characters, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to television.
All right. Well, I gave it 20 minutes. Poorly acted, poorly written. I had no intention of really watching it every week, but it's just poorly acted.
Absolutely.
Bad acting.
Yeah. It's literally almost like they went to like 4 high schools and just like grabbed some good-looking people and were like, don't worry about the acting thing. Like just read these lines.
Last thing I want to talk about was the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. We found out that Cedric had a falling out with what's her name, Jane? Lisa and her husband, or as I call him, her wife.
Yeah.
But probably the least surprising fallout in reality history, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the idea that Cedric is not the the emotionally needy like orphan.
Orphan
loyal,
of a French whore who was left at the doorstep.
Yeah, left in like a phone booth. It's like, come on, Cedric, I don't believe you. Like nobody believed him. And then he mooched off this woman for a year and a half, living fabulously in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And it didn't end up well.
I finally IMDb'd Kim Richards, which I'd been meaning to do for about 8 weeks.
Okay.
And because the way she talks about herself and her fans, and I just.
She did mention her fans once.
She mentioned her fans a few times. Great to see her fans, and her fans are wondering. And I'm like, all right, what kind of fans could she have? So she was in that Witch Mountain movie, which I was 6 years old.
The original Witch Mountain, right?
And then the sequel, which I was a little kid during that era, and it wasn't a huge momentum behind Witch Mountain. I think it was just a kids movie that came out. I don't think it was a cultural phenomenon or anything. And then was just in basically every TV show that was made between 1975 and 1980. Name a show, she was on it.
Okay, but here's my thing: is your fans, right? "Quote unquote" fans, human beings that are alive that know you and like you and will go to events to like get a picture.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the creepiest groups of people out there
of all time. That's why when I was looking at the IMDb, I was so confused why she had fans.
Yeah, I mean her fans. Like if you took if you did like a demographical breakdown of her fans, I'm sure they're all between like 50 and 70. They've each probably got like 2 weird sex charges. Every time they move, they have to like knock on the neighbor's door. They all wear some sort of like camouflage item every single day.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is what stunned me though. She did have one credit that I didn't realize she was in, and I'm probably one of only 10 people that have seen this movie, but it was called Tough Turf.
Tough Turf?
Tough Turf. Because it's never on cable. It's one of those movies, I don't know what happened.
That sounds like a reason that Randy Moss couldn't like run a route at full speed.
It was James Spader, early James Spader. He's like a rich kid that gets transferred to some really rough LA high school. And you're not going to believe this, but immediately doesn't get along with the Latino gang leader of the school or whatever.
But they come to accept him later after.
No, it's a blood war. Especially when James Spader, the Latino gang leader's girlfriend, played by Kim Richards.
Naturally, when I think Latino gang leader's girlfriend, Kim Richards is the first person that comes to mind.
Well, she makes the mistake of having a couple moments with James Spader, and then it's on, and it's like. It's this big blood feud, and I only remember it was on HBO all the time in the mid-'80s, and I've never seen it since. So I just vaguely remember like just James Spader and this guy, this shootout in the high school and all this stuff. But that was really her last major acting role. But I do remember thinking she was hot in 1984.
How old was she at that point?
Probably 20.
Okay, good.
I was 15.
Okay.
Not a discerning critic at that point. So then I looked up her sister. And her sister, her biggest credit was Lindsay in Halloween. She was the little girl who, along with the other kid, they survive at the end. And Jamie Lee Curtis tells them to go to run to get help. She's the little girl.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like she did anything else. So when she talks about fans, I think that's just an outright lie.
Absolutely. Did you watch? Did you catch up with the like lost clips or whatever?
You know. Because I was traveling last week, I did not get to see that.
You should check it out. There's a good scene between the Charlie Sheen Maloof.
Oh.
There's a good scene between him, he's a plastic surgeon, and Taylor, and they're like reviewing the work that she's had done in her face.
Yeah.
And the woman literally cannot move her face. Like she tries.
Oh no.
And it was really eye opening. It was just like, oh God, I understand why you didn't put this in the show now.
You know, Jeannie Buss has been rumored to be joining the cast because Kelsey Grammer's crazy wife is going to jump out. So, I mean, that'd be pretty good.
Here's what would be great, though. Can't you see, like, you know how they always have these little events or charity events or whatever? And, like, you know, and Kyle shows up with Mauricio or whatever his name is, and they all bring their significant others, and, like, in walks Jeannie. Who's that tall man next to Jeannie? Oh, that's Lakers head coach Phil Jackson.
Oh, God.
Stirring it up with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Just asking them how they're doing, telling them they look great.
What a great career ender for him. It
would be fantastic.
He wins back-to-back-to-back titles or whatever it is. He wins his 12th title, his fourth straight three-peat, retires, and then a month later starts showing up on Bravo.
Yeah.
A month later he's on Bravo.
He's on Bravo shopping with his wife.
He's holding his wife back from the Maloof sister.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be great. That would make me so happy.
You know, when you think about it, whether it's this show or something else, she should have a reality show. I'm fascinated by her.
Yeah, me too.
45, runs the Lakers, appeared in Playboy, dates a basketball coach.
Most powerful woman in the NBA.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of another one.
Big event. Give me 3 other shows you're watching before we go.
3 other shows I'm watching right now?
Yeah.
All right. God, what am I watching?
You're watching Bad Girls Club?
I'm watching NBA Wives.
Oh, yeah.
NBA Wives, and I'm watching Bad Girls Club, as I call it, BGC. And let me see. What else am I enjoying right now?
Did we talk about Basketball Wives last time we were on?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. I think we talked about Tammy a bit. And Kenny Anderson.
All right.
And let me give one more. Oh, and your friend Chuck, Storage Wars.
Yeah, Klosterman recommended Storage Wars.
Yeah.
Can I ever do my... I don't think we've talked about Basketball Wives because I do an Eric Williams impersonation. That kills my wife every time I do it.
Okay.
Joe Mead, can I do my Eric Williams impersonation?
Are you healthy enough?
Yeah, I'm barely making it. I'm really on the last legs.
It's like Jordan's flu game.
I'm going to fade into Scottie Pippen's arms in a second. All right, you pretend to be Eric Williams' estranged wife, and you ask him, how could you do that to me?
Okay. I mean, Eric, how could you do that to me?
A man got to do what a man got to do.
I mean, that's all you have to say for yourself?
That's all. That's his only line. He just says, a man got to do what a man got to do. That's his comeback.
He has the most blunt, like, obviously I want to get divorced. Can't you get this through your head sort of way of approaching that relationship?
he's kind of like a genius on the level of Ronnie. If you watch him, he'll twist stuff around. Like she's like, you cheated on me for a year. Listen, man, I was on the road. Stuff happens. The man's got needs.
He refuses to say, I want to get divorced. He makes her say it every time. She's like, this is not a good relationship. You know, this is you. I just don't trust you anymore. We've lost everything. He's like, so what do you want to do?
Well, you know what my theory is, Jacobs? I think they decided to get divorced probably before the first season, but they figured we string this along, and every time he's on the show, he gets paid, right? So they just like, let's do the thing again where we go to lunch and we try to figure out if we should stay together or not.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of drags on.
Yeah.
Because a man got to do what a man got to do.
A man got to do what a man got to do.
That's his comeback. You watch. He'll say it again. You'll laugh. Dave Jacoby, we will talk to you. When is the Survivors one launch?
Oh, I think it's early March. It's soon. March 10th or something.
Early March? It's not soon. That's a while away. Isn't it coming up?
No. I have no idea to answer the thing, honestly, but I think it's something like March 3rd, March 10th, somewhere around there. I mean, I don't need any facts or evidence to answer questions, as you know.
Sorry. Well, we'll talk to you before then because, you know, I'm a little worried about this season because Russell's in trouble now for spilling secrets.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, I made it through this podcast somehow. I am going to fade into Scottie Pippen's arms. Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah,
we will see you on Monday. Thanks for listening to the BS Report.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.